Hello everyone, welcome to the online class and it's good to see you again. Uh, Today we are going to discuss about the next part of your serial communication. So in the last video and last class, we have discussed the basics of the serial communication, and that means our 8051 microcontroller consists of serial port, and we have discussed the basics of the serial port, how we are going to transmit or how we are going to receive the data with the help of serial port. So today we are going to see the next in-depth part of your SCON register and its functionality. What are the different types of modes of operations? Okay. Now we ended up discussing in the last class about the errors. Okay, how to check the errors like that, and we will see. Just I will make a quick 1 minute recap what we have discussed earlier. And we are having a serial port. So 8051 microcontroller is a full duplex serial communication. So it consists of two lines because it is a synchronous serial communication. The serial port, it is serial communication. It is consists of two lines, that is one TXD and RXD. So in TXD, we can able to transmit the data. With the help of RXD, I can able to receive the data. Okay. Now this is my microcontroller, the blue color one. So that microcontroller consists of microprocessor and with serial port. So the serial port consists of these two pins. Now the processor is 8-bit. That is, your microcontroller is 8-bit. That means it is capable of doing operations directly on 8-bit numbers in a single clock cycle. Remember this point. In a single clock cycle, it can able to perform operations on 8-bit numbers. That means it can able to transfer the data 8 bits at a time. That is a capability of your microcontroller inside the processor. Okay. Now what is serial communication? We are going to send the data bit by bit. In one clock cycle, I am sending only 1 bit. But what is the capable of your processor or your microcontroller? It can receive or transmit the data 8 bits in one clock cycle. So that means I'm making the processor slow for the serial communication, right? So that's why we, in order to overcome that drawback, where the rescue came into the picture, that is your SBUF. Okay, serial port buffer, serial buffer. So for reception and transmission, we are having two different buffers, and these two different buffers we are using to make the processor fast. How we are going to make the processor fast? So the processor will send the data to the SBUF. Now the SBUF will able to send the data bit by bit. So whenever the SBUF is taking care of the transmission and reception, the processor is free to do the other tasks. Okay. Now whenever the SBUF is finished executing, finished the transmission of the data, 1 byte of data, now it will interrupt the processor, telling that the processor, please send me the next byte of data you want to transmit. Okay. So the SBUF is taking care of the transmission, and it is interrupting the processor whenever each and every after successful of byte transmission, it will interrupt the processor with the help of one interrupt flag, that is called transmission interrupt flag. Okay. The next one is reception, and during the reception we will receive the data bit by bit. Again, you will use the SBUF to store that 8 bits at 8 bits in the register, SBUF register. And whenever the SBUF register receives the data successfully, then it will tells the processor, okay, I have received the data successfully, I am giving the data to you. Now you can enjoy the data, and you can take that data and enjoy yourself. Okay, with the help of one signal called receiver interrupt. Okay, till now we have understood this much, but there is one more thing. So is there any chance of getting errors? Yes. So during the transmission or during the reception? During the reception. Okay. How can you know the errors are occurred during the transmission itself, right? So during the reception, we can able to know that there may be a chance of getting errors. Okay. That means we can able to check the errors. So error checking is optional. We may need to check errors, or we may not no need to check the errors. Okay. That is up to you. So okay. Now you want to check the errors. Okay. Where you will check the errors? In the SBUF. So before giving that data to the processor, or after giving the data to the processor? Before giving the data to the processor, you will check the errors, right? So whenever if you want to check the errors, you need to store the data in this register, and you will check the errors. If the data is valid, then you can give to the processor, otherwise discard the data and accept the next byte of data. Okay, this is so far we have discussed up to this. And whenever if you try to download a movie up to 79% and the network error is occurred, so if you try to open this video, you can be able to get the video like this, because the video is not completely downloaded, so some parts of the data is missing. That means the downloaded is consists of some errors. Okay, download error. So that's why you can able to see the picture or video like this. Okay, so this is one of the examples I want to show to you. Error, how the data will be lost during the errors. Okay, now coming to the next part is your SCON register. So I'm sure you know this SCON register. SCON indicates serial port control, so which is bit addressable register. And what is the size of this register? 8 bit. Okay, so I'm going fast for next 2 minutes because already we have discussed this SCON register. And the first one is a receiver interrupt flag, RI. So what is it? RI indicates receiver interrupt. When you will get the receive interrupt, so the receiver SBUF will tell the processor upon successful reception of the 1 byte of data. Okay, once the data is received by the SBUF, then it will interrupt the processor with the help of this flag RI is equals to 1. Okay, if the data is not received, so it won't generate any interrupt. Okay, and RI must be explicitly cleared by the programmer. So unlike your timer interrupts, timer overflow interrupts, or external interrupts, INT0 and INT1, those interrupt flags will automatically cleared, okay, by the system. But here RI and TI, okay, transmission interrupt flag and receiver interrupt, both should be you should be cleared by explicitly by the programmer. It will not be auto cleared. Okay, remember this point. And the next one, transmit interrupt. When the transmit interrupt will be generated, the transmit SBUF will able to interrupt the processor once the 1 byte of transmission is successful. Okay, so it is waiting for the next byte of data transfer. Okay, during that time it will interrupt the processor, right? So this is also to be cleared by your programmer. Programmer means who? You and me. Okay, okay, now come to the next 2 bits. So I told you the serial, just like your timers, we are also having the serial ports also having 4 modes of operations. So that 4 modes will be selected with the help of this SM0 and SM1 bits. Okay, there is another bit called SM2. I will discuss in detail about that one. And SM0 and SM1 is to select the among the one of the 4 modes which you want to operate in your serial port. Okay, the mode 0 is also known as shift register mode, and mode 1 we are calling it as 8-bit UART mode. Mode 2 and mode 3 is called, we are calling it as 9-bit UART mode. But there is a difference between mode 2 and mode 3. It is having fixed baud rate and it is having variable baud rate. Okay, we will discuss each and every detail in this class. Okay, don't worry. Now the next one bit is RB8 and TB8. So please don't read this theory right now. Okay, because I am going to explain something before you need to understand these 2 things. Okay, so RBA and TB8 use it to store 1 bit of data. Okay, up to now you remember this one. Okay, RBA8 and TBA8 use it to store the 1 bit of data. Okay, during the transmission and during the reception. Okay, so I will get to this point later. The next one is receiver enable. So receiver enable, that means whenever if you want to receive the data, you must and should enable the receiver. Okay, that is why receiver enable. So if you don't want to receive the data, you can disable this receiver. That means you don't get the data, even the other person transmitted the data. Okay, but some students will ask me, so sir, why there is no transmission enable? Obviously, come on. So if why there is no transmission enable, please, if you have common sense. So if you don't want to transfer the data, don't transfer. Why there is no need there? Why there should be enable? Suppose if you want to call the other person, okay. So if you don't want to call the other person, what you will do? Don't call. Okay, there is no enable or disable. But during the reception, suppose if the particular person, I don't want to receive the call from him or her. Okay, what you will do? You will put the block. That means you will disable that person. Similarly, here also, whenever if you don't want to receive the data, disable the receiver. Okay, that's why there is no transmission enable in this point, right? Okay, the next one is SM2. Okay, so this is an important bit about the whole class, and today's class I am going to discuss about only about this SM2. Okay, this is a SM2 is one of the most important bit. Right now I am going to discuss the entire class about this SM2. While discussing SM2, I am discussing all the register bits. Okay, now just now we have seen we need to check the errors, right? So for error checking, we are using this bit. For this particular point of time, please be remember that SM2 is used for error checking. Okay. Now we will see the structure of your 4 modes. I told you there are 4 modes, and those 4 modes has its structures. and I'm going to show you the structures. So these are the structures. The first mode is your shift register, that is your mode 0, and this is 8-bit UART, your mode 1, and there are other two modes, that is mode 2 and mode 3, that is your 9-bit UART mode. Okay, and during the shift register mode, I am transferring 8-bit of data. I am sure whenever you are using serial port, obviously we'll send the data in the form of bytes. Okay, that means we are consisting of D0 to D7. And coming to the mode 1, okay, in mode 1, what we are doing, what is the name of this mode 1? 8-bit UART. What is meant by UART? Universal Asynchronous Receiver Transmitter. I told you in the last class, if you are using a asynchronous receiver transmitter, what you need to add to the data, extra bits, what are those two bits called? Start bit and stop bit. Remember this point? So whenever, if you are saying UART, asynchronous serial communication, you need to add start bit and you need to add stop bit, right? Now coming to the next mode, 9-bit UART mode, that is your mode 2 and mode 3. So the name itself indicates 9-bit. So in previous mode, mode 1, I am using 8 bits. Here in 9-bit UART mode, again UART came into the picture. So whenever if there is an UART, you need to add start bit and stop bit. But here we are transmitting, instead of 8 bits of data, I am transferring 9 bits of data. Now whatever you are seeing the D8 here, this is the ninth bit, okay, which is programmable. That means I can able to send 1 or I can able to send 0. According to the programmer, I can able to send this bit. This is your programmable 9th bit. Okay, now why I'm discussing these mode structures means I am not explaining the modes, I am discussing the mode structures. Okay, I will come one by one about the modes. Okay, now why I'm discussing is about error checking. Okay, you tell me, while how you will check the errors? By looking at what you can able to know whether the error is occurred or not. If you see whatever the data you will receive, you will see the data. So if the data is wrong, you will see, you can conclude that there is any error. How can you know that I am getting this the data only? Okay, before receiving only, how you know that the data is coming? That means I will not conclude based upon the data is received. So if you know the data already, why you are receiving the data? Obviously the question, right? So that's why we will not see the data to conclude there is any error occur or not. We will conclude there is whether the transmission or whether the reception consists of error or not by using some additional bits which we have already known. Okay, now you tell me in this modes what are the additional bits which we are using to which is already known. One is start bit, one is stop bit. Okay, here stop bit and start bit, which we already know. So I told you, in any country or any place around this world, whenever you are working with the serial port, always will the start bit is 0 and the stop bit is 1. That means which is already known to you. Okay, for every byte transmission we will get the start bit is 0 and stop bit is 1. So by using this start bit and stop bit, we will check the errors. I have made myself clear to you, right? Now I told you I am discussing about SM2. Now check here. So SM2 is equals to 0. That means we are not checking the errors. If the SM2 is 1, then only we will check the errors. That means the error checking is optional. I mentioned this point earlier, right? So error checking is optional. So in order to make it as optional or mandatory, because depends upon this bit. Okay, whenever the SM2 is 1, then we will check the errors, and SM2 is 0, we will not check the errors. Okay, now where I will check the errors? Additional bits. So I will take any one bit or 2 bits at a time to check the errors. I will take only 1 bit to check the errors. Which bit? The 9th bit. So if you check this highlight point, highlighted rectangle, you can see only 9th bit. Okay, in mode 0, is there any 9th bit is there? No, there is no 9th bit. That means can we check the errors in the mode 0? No, no way to check the errors, because there is no 9th bit here. There is no 9th bit here. Okay, that means we cannot able to check the errors. That means directly we can able to accept the data without checking errors. Now coming to the mode 1. In mode 1, is there any 9th bit is there? Yes, there is a 9th bit, which is the bit called stop bit. Okay, so this is first bit, this is second bit, this is third bit, 4, 5 up to this is your 9th bit. Okay, So forget about the start bit. Okay, I'm taking about this one. Now in the 9th bit, I am having stop bit. So depends upon the stop bit, I can able to check the errors. And come to the mode 2 and mode 3. There is a bit called D8, which is programmable 9th bit, right? So again, I can able to check the errors based upon these bits. Okay, this bit D8. This is your 9th bit here in your mode 2 and mode 3. And the stop bit is your 9th bit in your mode 1. And in mode 0, there is no 9th bit. That means we are not checking the errors. Okay, cleared up to now? Now we will see the one by one. Mode 1. So now I am going to start with the mode 1, not mode 0. So there is a reason for it. Okay. Now this is your mode 1. What is the name of the mode 1? Standard 8-bit UART mode. Okay, you already know. So whenever if you are saying UART means asynchronous receiver transmitter. So whenever if you are saying UART, each and every device has its own clock source. I told you. So this is one clock source here. There is another clock source here, right? Now each and every device has individual clock source, means we are using asynchronous serial communication. Now I want to transfer the data character A. I told you in the last class, if I want to start the data transfer character A, I need to convert into binary. So that's why I will take its ASCII value and I will convert into hexadecimal form. So hexadecimal form, this is 0100 and 0001. That is your 41. Now I will start data transmission of A. Okay, that is your 0100 and 0001. Now in which from where I will start the data transfer? From the LSB position. You already know that. So that's why I will start LSB position. Next I will come to the next MSB position, up to MSB position. Now when I'm using the UART, what is the additional bits I need to add? That is your start bit and then one is stop bit. I already told you the start bit is always 0 and the stop bit is always 1. Okay. During the transmission of your data, these start bits and stop bits to be added by who? By programmer or by the system. So for every byte transmission in the UART protocol or UART system, always the start bit and stop bits are generated by the systems, not by the programmers. That means just you will take care of whatever the data you want to transfer, just to transfer it. The system, while transmitting it, the system will able to, that means your serial port will add the start bit and stop bit to your data. Now you understood, right? Now why we are discussing about this mode 1? Because I want to check the errors. Okay. Now when I will check the errors? During the reception. So after receiving the data, I will store the data in the SBUF, right? Now we will check here. When I will check the data, depends upon the bit called SM2. I told you already. So whenever the SM2 is 1, you will check the errors. Whenever SM2 is 0, I will not check the errors, right? Suppose now SM2 is 1. Assume that SM2 is 1. Now I want to check the errors. Okay. So it depends upon which bit I am checking the error. I am checking the error based on the 9th bit. What is that 9th bit? This is your stop bit. Okay. Stop bit is your 9th bit here. Now, after receiving the data, how many bits I am transmitting? Exactly 10 bits, right? So from, if you take 0 and 1 stop bit and plus 8 data, that means your total 10 bits are received by your SBUF. Now SBUF, what is the size of the SBUF? Only 8 bits, right? Now I want to check the errors. Check the errors means what is that bit I need to use? Stop bit. That means there is any usage of the start bit here? No need to use the start bit. That means while receiving the data, what the SBUF will do is it will discard this start bit first. That means it will remove the 0 first. The whatever the data, that means 8 bit of data will be stored inside your SBUF. Okay. Now I want to check the errors based upon which bit? Stop bit. That means I need to store this bit also. Okay, somewhere. So now already 8 bits are stored here. Now I need to store the additional bit. Where is the place to store the additional bits? There comes the part of your this bit. Now you understood, right? In SCON register, I told you RB8. So whenever you are during the reception or transmission, I am using the 9th bit, right? So this 9th bit is used to store here. The RB8 is used to store that 1 bit during your mode 1. Now you read this theory. In mode 0, I am not using this one. Why? Because there is no start bit and stop bit. That means there is no point of 9th bit there. So is the RB8 is used in the mode 0? No way, right? In mode 1, you see in mode 1, it receives the stop bit, right? Means it will store the stop bit in this position, RB8. Now you understood, right? Now coming to the next 2 modes, the next 2 modes, I will receive the 9th programmable bit. So instead of storing the stop bit, it will store the programmable bit. So I will come back to this point later while we are discussing mode 2 and mode 3. Now you clearly understood in mode 1, I am storing the stop bit in this register bit. okay, in SCON RB8, right? So that is how I will check the errors. But here if you observe, okay, whenever if I store the 1 here, now the receiver SBUF will see whether it is 1, okay, that means the data is valid. Why it is concluding that it is valid? Because the stop bit is 1. If the stop bit is 0, that means the error is the data is invalid. Why it is concluding like that? Because the start bit and stop bit are generated by the systems, not by the programmer. That means the system will not system cannot able to generate the errors, right? During the transmission there may be a chance of getting errors, okay. So if the error is happened, that means your stop bit will be 0. Whenever the stop bit is 0, that means the data is invalid, the data is error, okay, we received the wrong data. So what the SBUF will do, it will discard the data and it will not give the data to the processor, and it will wait for the next byte of data to be received, okay. Now I understood, right? So how you are going to receive the data, how you are going to check the errors in your mode 1, okay. And coming to the baud rate, so what is meant by baud rate? Baud rate is nothing but number of bits transmitted per second, it is called baud rate, okay. Now here we are having variable baud rate. So variable baud rate means I can able to generate different baud rates. Now if you check the baud rate formula, f baud is equals to 2 power s mod by 32, and the next one is timer 1 overflow frequency. Timer 1 overflow frequency, which means I am using the timer 1 to generate the baud rates, number of bits transmitted per second, okay. Now if you observe and if you pay attention to the last timer classes, I am using this slide. The timer 1 is dedicatedly used for serial communication. Now I am having only timer 0, but still I want 2 timers. That's why the timer 0 is split into TL0 and TH0, and TL0 occupies TF0 interrupt flag, and TH0 is occupies the TF1 interrupt flag, which is of the timer 1. Okay, now you understood, right, why the timer 1 is used to your serial communication and why this slide is used, right? So the timer 1 can able to generate the baud rate for this mode, okay, and that's why it is variable baud rate, because the timer can able to generate different frequencies, different clock pulses, okay. Now what is this SMOD indicate? So SMOD is nothing but one bit which is present in the PCON register. I didn't discuss about this PCON register till now because it is not there in syllabus, but I will make a video for this also. But they conclude, please remember this point, there is a PCON register which is called power control register, which we want to control the power supply of your, power saving modes, operating modes of your 8051 microcontroller. We will use this register. In this register there is a bit called SMOD, and we are, if you keep this SMOD is equals to 1, what will happen? 2 power 1. What will happen? 2 power 1 means 2 by 32. That means I will get 1 by 16, that is your 1 frequency. And if I put SMOD is equals to 0, what will happen? 2 power 0 means 1 by 32. That means I will get the half of the baud rate. So whenever if I put SMOD is equals to 1, that means I am doubling the baud rate. Whenever I have putting SMOD is equals to 0, I will make the baud rate to half. So if you look at the standard baud rates, 1200, 2400, 9600, these are all nothing but the standard baud rates which we are using, okay. So whenever if you see almost each and every baud rate is doubled, okay. Why? Because of this SMOD. So whenever if you put SMOD is equals to 1, the baud rate is doubled, okay. That is about mode 1. Coming to the mode 2, in mode 2 also we are transmitting the data obviously, and this mode 2 is called 9-bit UART mode. 9-bit UART. So what is meant by UART? Universal asynchronous receiver transmitter, which means I need to use start bit and start bit during the data transmission, right? Now there is a point to be noted here. I am using 9 bits 2-bit transmitter instead of 8 bits in the mode 1. Here I am transmitting 9 bits, okay. What is that 9th bit indicates? That is your programmable bit. That means I can able to send that 1 or I can send 0 also, okay. Now whenever the receiver SBUF will receive this data, now how many bits is receiving? 11 bits. So start bit and stop bit is 2 bits, data is 8 bits, okay, and your programmable bit either 1 or 0. That means total 11 bits it is receiving. While receiving this data, it will perform the error check, right? After receiving this data, it will perform the error check. Now it will check the errors based upon which bit, stop bit or programmable bit. I told you 9th bit. It is a 9th bit here, programmable bit. So programmable bit, based upon the programmable bit, it can check the errors. If the programmable bit is 1, that means the data is correct. Okay, if the programmable bit is 0, that means the data is incorrect. So is there any confusion here? What is meant by programmable bit? Which means I am sending, the programmer is sending the data, that means either 1 or 0. Now why the programmer is sending 0? To make the data invalid, to make the other system misunderstood that the data is invalid. No, there is a point. Okay, now I understood, right? So while receiving this data, it will receiving 11 bits. Now what the receiver SBUF will do, it will remove the start bit and it will remove the stop bit. Now how many bits came into the picture? 9 bits. Now the data will be stored here in your SBUF at 8 bits, and the programmable bit will be stored inside your which register? TB8, SCON register. There is a bit called TB8. I told you there is a programmable bit, and this programmer will send that 1 or 0 during the transmission. He will send that bit, right? That's why you read the theory. In mode 1, I am not using, in mode 1 and mode 0, I am not using bit. Why? Because I am not sending the programmable bit. Now here in mode 2 and mode 3, I am using this 9th programmable bit. To store this 9th programmable bit during the transmission or reception, I can use TB8. Okay, now we will see. So when I will, if I send here 1, which means the data is invalid. Now if I send 0, what does that mean? Data is invalid. No, no, no. It is not the purpose to build the base upon checking errors. There is some other purpose. See here. Now if you take, these are the devices. So there are different microcontrollers, 8051 microcontroller A, B, C, D. Okay, actually it is C actually. So A, B, C, D. Now I want to transfer this data. So here I'm sending stop bit and start bit. This is your programmable bit, and this is your 8 bit of data. Now I want to transfer this data to all the devices. Okay, now I told you I want to perform an error check based upon this bit, SM2 is equals to 0 and SM2 is equals to 1. Now see here, for the 8051 microcontroller B, SM2 is equals to 1. That means it will check the errors. Okay, whenever if the SM2 is 0, it will not check the errors. Here also it will check the errors, right? Now during the transmission of the data, all the data will be received by these devices, and before, after receiving this, it will check the errors. Now SM2 is equals to 1. SM2 is equals to 1 means I need to check the errors. How, and based upon which bit? Programmable bit. What is it? Programmable bit here? 1. Whenever this bit is 1, that means it will receive the data. That means the data is valid. Okay, now SM2 is equals to 0. What is it? SM2 is equals to 0. It won't check the errors. That means irrespective of this bit, it will store the data. That means it will also receive this data. Okay, and SM2 is equals to 1, just like your 8051 microcontroller B. So the D device also will receive this data because it will check the errors. Now the bit is 1. Okay, now whenever if you are sending 1 to this data, that means all the devices are receiving this data, right? This is called broadcasting. Now you understand, right? Broadcasting means when one device will transfer the data, all the devices will receive the data irrespective of the programmable bit. Okay, this is a need of this programmable bit. Okay, the next one you will see, suppose if I send 0, so now 0 will be sent here, all the devices. Now whenever SM2 is equals to 1, it will check the errors. So it depends upon this bit. Whenever this bit is 0, will it receive this data? No way. It won't receive this data. It will discard this data because there is error in this data. Based upon this bit, it is concluding that. Now SM2 is equals to 0. What means it won't check the errors? It is not checking the errors means it will, based upon it won't check this bit. Okay, that means directly it will give the data. That means it will receive this data directly. Again the same like your B, it won't receive this data, right? Now A device is sending the data, B device is receiving the data. The other two devices are not receiving this data. That means I am using unicasting. Unicasting means for one device I want only to receive this data. Okay, during that time I will use this 0th bit. Okay, and suppose if I want to receive the, if I want to transmit the data for 2 devices, not all the 3 devices, only 2 devices. Now what I will do, I will put SM2 is equals to 0. So SM2 is equals to 0, SM2 is equals to 1. Now whatever the device which is having SM2 is equals to 0, it won't check the errors. That means it will directly receive this data. Directly it will receive this data whenever the SM2 is equals to 1, and it will check the errors. So the error is based upon this bit. If the bit is 0, that means the data is invalid. That means it won't receive this data. Now A is sending the data, B and C is receiving this data, right? Whenever the BNC is receiving this data, that means multiple devices are receiving. That is called multicasting. Understood this point? Multicasting. This is the need of programmable bit. So whenever you are sending one, we can able to send the data to all the devices. Whenever if you are sending 0, we'll send the data only few devices. Okay, that is the need of this one. And coming to this baud rate, so the baud rate is fixed. Why? Because we are using oscillator frequency. Oscillator frequency is 12 megahertz, which is fixed. Okay. And the next mode is your mode 2. So mode 2 is also 9-bit UART mode. Okay, which is just like your mode 1. Sorry, mode 3 actually it is. So mode 3 is just like your mode 2, and this mode 3 baud rate is variable baud rate. So variable baud rate means it is using timer 1 frequency. That means it is using timers. So in mode 2, what is the frequency we are using? Oscillator frequency, which is fixed. That's why the baud rate is fixed there. Here it is variable. That's why we are using timer. Okay. The next one mode is mode 0, which is shift register. So shift register means here there is a point to be noted. I told you during the transmission, I will use TX. During the reception, I will use RX. But here in mode 0, there is a one thing to be noted. Thus, device 1 RX is connected to device 1 RX. Okay. Whenever the device 1 transmits the data, it is using the RX signal. Whenever the device 2 is receiving data, it is using RX signal again. Okay. Now, what is the need of TX signal here? Why we are not using the TX signal? Why? Because I told you in mode 0, we are using synchronous serial communication. I am not using UART because I am not using start bit and stop bit. Just I am sending simple 8-bit of data. That means I'm using synchronous serial communication. So synchronous serial communication means these two devices should share the common clock source. So with the help of this pin, TX pin, it will share the common clocks. Okay. Now, why the name it came into the picture, shift register? Because I'm shifting the bits. Okay. Now see here, I want to transmit this data. Now I want to send this data bit by bit. Now see what will happen. Just I am shifting this data, right? Right shift, right shift, right shift, right shift. Okay. Shifting. That's why mode 0 is called shift register mode. Okay. So every time the device 1 is sending the data, that means it is shifting out. Okay. That whenever the device 2 is receiving the data, which is shifting in. Okay. This is shifting out. This is shifting in. So that's why we are calling it as shift register. Okay. Now, what is this one? This is called your maps, right? That means I am accessing the locations. So with the help of which device we are using to track the location or accessing the location? You tell me. Yes, that is called your GPS. Okay, global positioning system. Now, if you observe closely, there is a RX. Okay, there is a TX here in this picture, on the top of this picture. RX and TX. What are these two pins? Exactly, serial port pins. Now you are having microcontroller. Now in your microcontroller, you want to add GPS device. Okay, if you want to add GPS device, to which pins you will connect? To the serial port pins. That means this device is nothing but your serial communication device. Now, what is serial communication? You are using to transfer the data long distance. Now you tell me the GPS is able to send or receive the information for long distance. Obviously, yes, because it is receiving the data from the satellite, right? So that is nothing but your one of the serial communication device example, which is using only RX and TX pins, right? RX and TX, which we can able to connect to your microcontroller. Next, and right now we are using your mobile phone or tablets or your computers, right? You are using internet, and in your mobile phone, if you are not using Wi-Fi, okay, now still you are getting the internet. How? In your home you are watching this video on your mobile live streaming, and how you are watching this video without having Wi-Fi? You are having SIM card, that is your GSM, right? So with the help of GSM, I can able to access the internet from the satellite. Okay, from the satellites servers. Okay. Now whenever I'm sending, when I'm teaching this class, I'm using the Zoom app. Okay, with the help of Zoom app, I can able to live stream this video. This data will be included in the servers. Okay, that servers will send the data to your satellites. Okay, or any antennas or etc. Now that antennas will able to send the information to the satellite. Now from that satellite, you can able to receive the information by your cell towers. Okay, GSM cell towers. That cell towers will receive this data and it can able to send you to your mobile phone. This is how we are able to communicating. That means which module I am using. Which module? Guess what? GSM module. GSM, Global System for Mobile Communication. Again, if you observe closely, if you are having sharp eyes, I'm sure you are having sharp eyes. And if you observe closely, there is again 2 pins here, RX and TX. What are these 2 pins? Again serial communication, serial port pins. Whenever if you want to connect this device, that means your GSM, to your microcontroller, which you will connect to which port? Serial port, which by using which pins? RX and TX. So this RX is connected to 8051 microcontroller TX, and this TX is connected to RX of your 8051 microcontroller. So when I'm saying GSM, there should be some SIM slot, right? So this is your SIM slot. So I'm sure if you open your Nokia mobiles or some mobiles, you can see the big SIM slot, right? Nowadays we are using nano SIM cards. We cannot able to see like this SIM card nowadays. So still, if you want to use this GSM communication to your mobile phone, I mean your 8051 microcontroller, you can use with the help of these 2 pins. Okay. Next one is your favorite, Bluetooth. And when you are watching this video, somebody is using Bluetooth headsets. Okay. Again, coming to this module, this is Bluetooth module. If you want to connect this Bluetooth module to your microcontroller, again you will see there is a TX and RX pins, TXD and RXD. Again, if you can able to connect to your serial port, that means this device is also nothing but serial communication device. Now tell me, the Bluetooth can also transmit the data for long distance. You are telling that, sir, only short distance 100 meters. But if you see the technology, the Bluetooth latest version is 5.0, Bluetooth 5.0, which can able to transfer the data up to half kilometer. That means exactly some long distance, which is using serial communication again. Okay. Next one, you see what is happening here, and there is a hotel door, OYO rooms, etc. Okay. Okay, there is a hotel door. Now you want to open the door or your home. Take an example, this is your home, and you are using some smart way to access your door. Okay. Now you are having RFID. You are now, I'm sure you are having ID card with you. Now just like ID card, there is a RFID card. Okay. Whenever if you scan that RFID card to your door, automatically the door gets unlocked. That means whoever having this RFID card, they can able to unlock this door, right? This is a smart way to access the door without without having the physical locks. Okay. Right. Now this is called RFID reader. So now you observe here, whenever if you are placing this card, this is the reader. Okay, this is a reader. Now this reader can able to read the information from this RFID device. Now to read this information, I need to use the RFID reader. Again, if you see, if you want to interface this RFID reader to your microcontroller, again I'm having 2 pins called RX and TX. Again, that means it is also serial communication following principle. So with this, I have completed the serial port and serial communication part of your 8051 microcontroller. I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you are having any doubts, you can ask me.